tractor through your haystack last night. I threw me pitchfork at your dog to keep quiet. Now something's telling me that you avoiding me. Come on now, darling, you got something I need. 'Cause I got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key. Come on now, let's get together in perfect harmony. I got 20 acres and you've got 43. Now I got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key.
Hey up, Sofa Squad, and welcome to On the Sofa, number 51. Did it work that time?
Yeah, that was really smooth, that, Mike. Well done.
And your song was amazing. I was rocking out. I'm so glad
it was better the second time. So much better.
Oh dear. Oh,
You're such an influencer.
Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah. So I've got a brand new combine harvester. Do you want to Stall? Do you want to tell?
I've only just realised what you've done there. To be honest, I was too busy. I was so busy marvelling at the technical expertise you were showing there. I didn't realise where you were going with that tune.
Do you want to explain to our American chum, Will, what that's all about?
Oh, he's our chum now, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't just a catchy song. I really like that.
All right. Well, you remember we were talking last week about the Conservative MP who'd been caught watching porn in the House of Commons. Are you familiar with the rest of the story?
I thought of both of you as I was watching him being interviewed and slowly shrink as he was admitting.
You know, when we hear stories about people watching porn and Will says, I was thinking of you two when I read that story, I feel dirty and used.
He kept on saying, though, on the interview I watched, he kept on saying, like, how many times did you do it? Let's wait for the inquiry. When did you do it? Let's wait for the inquiry. Like, do you have anything? Like, why does he even have an interview? I could write that on a poster board and just hold it up.
Well, he gave his excuse. And he's since resigned.
I saw that.
But the excuse was he was looking at tractors.
Yes.
And he accidentally clicked on a porn link. And what was the tractor called?
The Dominator.
So that raises so many questions. Was he watching men or women? Because around here, if you typed in Dominator into a search engine, mainly men will pop up. I'm not shaming. I'm just, send me a link.
As he's a Conservative MP, I'm gonna guess he was looking at the boy tractors.
Okay, so again, I'm wearing the official hat of judgment and the tractor hat at the same time. No, I look up tractors all the time. I look up Kubota tractors because I own one and I need to learn how to fix it. Porn never pops up. I own a 1979 piece of crud John Deere as well. Let me tell you, when I'm researching things to fix my old tractor, do you know what pops up? Not porn. Oh, I didn't hear that excuse. Oh, I didn't hear that crappy excuse.
But he's officially quit, which is going to trigger a by-election, and people are speculating that the Lib Dems could swoop in and take that seat away from the Tories. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The weird thing is that whilst everyone was still trying to work out who it was that had been doing the porns, he was invited onto the TV to talk about it. And
yes.
He didn't admit it was him.
You know, I
So
love how
yeah,
in your country, you guys are so polite even when you're caught. Like where I'm from, someone's running from the camera. You know, they're like, no comment.
but at first he didn't admit it. Then he did admit it and said it was an accident. And then he wasn't going to resign, but now he has officially resigned. And he but he says that he was trying to look up he's trying to look for tractors, and he accidentally clicked on this porn site with a similar name. And but he
Again,
admits,
But he said the mistake he made, he says, was that after looking at it once, he went back to look again.
yes, but these MPs who, I think one MP, one lady MP said that she was sat next to him at the time, and another female MP collaborated her story.
okay, and just for research, I'm looking it up. Tractor porn is real. That's weird. I'm putting my phone down. But again, that those are nowhere even near each other. It's just I have this thing. If you're caught, just I'm old, man up and admit it. Like if I'm caught, hey, you caught me, ha ha ha, you caught me. You know.
It was funny though because he got found out it was him,
Yeah.
and then I think it was his conservative buddies who then all got together and obviously thought, what excuse can we make up for him? And it was his friends who said, oh, he was looking at tractors.
Yeah.
And he really should have said, listen guys, just shut up.
See, I think I've missed my calling in life. I should be a PR to all these disgraced MPs, because if I was his PR guy, I would say to him, look, don't do an interview, don't go on TV, just shut the fuck up, just lie low, and all of this will blow over. But because he actually went on television and tried to come up with this some lame ass excuse, everyone's still talking. Everyone is still talking. We're still talking about it.
It's arrogant to think that you can talk things like that away. Like he should have I would have resigned. Be like, okay, I'm gonna go play golf for the rest of my life. Bye, and watch porn.
What you would think, but yeah, what you would think would happen is, okay, so everybody in the country is trying to work out who the MP is who's been watching porn. So this guy, when Sky phoned him and said, would you like to come on and talk about this person who's been watching porn? He should have said, no, I'm busy. He shouldn't have said, yes, I'll come and talk about this person who's been watching.
Again, the stones it takes for someone to do that. I wouldn't do that, and I'm extremely arrogant and cocky sometimes, and I wouldn't. Self-indictments are not fun. And omissions are self-indictments as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
But at first, he was saying, I'm not going to say anything more about this. I'm going to wait for the inquiry. I'm going to wait for. But that seems to be the trend these days. Yeah, whenever a politician gets caught doing some shady shit, they say, "Oh no, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to say anything now. I'm not going to say anything about it now. Let's wait for the results of the inquiry." There absolutely won't be a whitewash whatsoever.
So here in the United States of Confusion, we have this thing called the Fifth Amendment, where you have the right to not indict yourself. Do you have a law that you can invoke like that in your country, where you can be like, no, I have the right to not tell on myself?
You have the right to remain silent.
That serves just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a thing. The right to remain silent. So if you're being It's like pleading the fifth in your land. So if you're being questioned by the police and you've got your solicitor sat next to you, if the police ask you a question and your solicitor thinks that you answering that question might incriminate yourself, might incriminate you, you'll be advised to just say no comment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't get me wrong. If someone pleads the fifth, I'm like in my head, I'm like, you're guilty. You're guilty.
Yeah, of course they are. We all know it.
You just can't say it.
But I don't think we've got anything in the laws that says you have the right to go on Sky News and pretend it wasn't you that was watching the porns. Don't know. I've not seen that rule.
So so I don't even have to ask my stupid question because he actually had consequences, unlike other people.
Well, to be fair to him, he resigned, which is more than most of them do these days.
I honestly kind of respect him for it because, like last week, like if that was Boris Johnson, he would just mess his hair and be like, "Oh, I'm just a cheeky lad."
Yeah, I mean, in the big scheme of things, being caught watching some tractor porn in the House of Commons, I mean, it's not the biggest crime in the world, but at least he manned up or tractored up, whatever, and resigned.
But yeah, I mean, again, if I was his PR guy, I would have said, just don't say anything. Just stay at home, keep your head down, and this will all blow over. But he didn't. And
that seems to be the way over where you guys live. Like, if you can withstand the mudslinging, then you can stay in office. Here, if you get accused of something or even the thought of being charged, you're fired.
Yeah.
Well,
unless you're
up until this
foreign.
lot of what time is it? 10:15. Up until this lot of lying sacks of shit, do not vote for them. There were consequences. You would be asked to resign. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But those rules are now out of the window completely.
Around these parts, we have a saying, there used to be adults. So what you're saying, you were telling me that they used to be adults and now they're just toddlers with power.
Oh, yeah. I mean, up until this lot, even the shady, dodgy conservatives who do tend to be the ones who get up to the really dodgy stuff, whether it's financial shenanigans or sexual exploits, when they get found out, they have to resign.
Yeah.
They'll be asked to resign, which is basically posh for getting the sack, being fired. But it doesn't happen anymore. There are no consequences. They've copied from the orange shit given. Johnson demonstrates to them day by day, minute by minute, that you can stand up, lie your ass off constantly, just tell the same lie over and over and over and over again. No consequences.
So 20 years ago, let's say everything that was going on now was with the people from 20 years ago, would Boris Johnson still be in office?
No.
No way.
No, he would have had to resign.
And the reason I bring this up is I watch a lot of old Chris Hitchens, and they were talking about the Clinton scandal, and I forgot how conservative America was, because it was a big deal that the prez got a BJ in the White House from his secretary, and look how much we've fallen in those in almost 30 years now, 26 27 years.
But I think what we forget is that Boris Johnson sacked all the quote unquote decent Tory MPs because they refused to vote for his Brexit deal. So he got rid of people like Dominic Grieve and what's his name? Yeah, but he got rid of them. So now he surrounded himself with sycophants and with sycophantic yes people who loyally stick up for him no matter what.
Yeah,
I
it is
can't say his
very,
name proper. Oh, sorry, Stool. Go ahead.
it is very Trumpism because he's surrounded himself with cowards who are selfish bastards in themselves. So they'll do whatever he tells them to do if they think they're going to gain from it personally, and they will not say anything against him. And that's how he likes it. He's surrounded himself by a bunch of yes men and women, and they've now learned that if he can get away with it as the prime minister, then so can they. So they all just lie their asses off constantly.
Well, and
Yeah.
he hired a real life villain in Pretty Patel. Do you know when you told me how tall she was, I kind of laughed because her pictures like she scares me. I'm scared of a 4 foot
Yeah, and
woman.
we shouldn't we shouldn't mock at people's height, but
No,
it is kind of
no.
funny because she is a borrower. She's tiny, and she's clearly got a chip on her tiny little shoulder.
She's very aggressive. She's very aggressive in a real way.
Yeah.
She's a piece of shit.
Yes.
And talk of the devil.
Another lie they've been telling.
Beautiful segue.
This will probably be too late to have made your list, Mike.
Yeah.
But a lie that they've been telling in the lead up to today's local elections, I think we only found out about it within the last week. The local people, the local Conservative people, the leaflets that they've been giving out, sending door to door.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Saying, don't blame us for what is happening in Westminster. We're the local Conservatives. And they've even somehow, this is a real thing, they've even somehow managed to officially change their fucking name on the ballot paper to local Conservatives.
Yes. Because they know
Like,
that
there's
Boris
a
Johnson is
difference.
toxic. They know he's toxic. They know
there's a
that
difference.
Boris Johnson is toxic, and they don't want to be associated with him. But
I'm
I think
fairly
that's what's
sure
going to
that
happen here in my country. I think that's what's about to happen with the whole Roe v. Wade thing being overturned. I think the Republican Party finally is going to lose because women aren't going to be okay with this, you know? And so I can
that's
see
gonna
how
be a
someone's like,
big thing.
I'm not I'm going to put local conservative on my tagline from now on.
But yeah, but the thing is, I'm pretty damn sure that if they've so all these local MPs in different constituencies have all suddenly, coincidentally, all decided to call themselves local Conservatives. So it's clearly a message from the top that they should call themselves this. It's not an independent thought process. But if they've managed to change their official name on the official ballot papers to local Conservatives, well, that's got to be illegal, has it not? Because that's not the name of the party.
yeah,
The official name of the party is the Ulster. What are they called, Mike? The Unionist and Conservative Party now, or something.
something like that.
They're not just the Conservative Party anymore because they made that ridiculous deal back in 2017 where they gave the crazy Irish people £1.5 billion to be their friends.
I'm thinking of an old absolutely fabulous joke where they were talking about new labor, but she said, you know, even though it's the new labor and you renamed it, it's still the same old shit. And no matter how many times you rename something, it's still the same crummy party, you know.
It's funny though.
Nothing's changed.
It's funny you should say this because when the Orange Shit Gibbon is doing his rallies, which he's still doing, and he tells the idiots behind him, "I'm now calling this Make America Great Again," and they all go,
"Here we go with the new labor."
That's just shit.
Yeah. So he's admitting that he failed to make America make
Yeah,
America
exactly.
great again.
It bothers me how people in America, you are given the respect as being called president for the rest of your life. But it bothers me that in his head he still thinks that he's the president right now.
Yeah.
It bo-
But
much like Dolores Umbridge over here, the real life Dolores Umbridge.
anyway, Priti Patel faces legal action from Ukrainians stuck in visa backlog.
I would sue her too.
This is from The Guardian.
So sorry.
And the article says this: a class action lawsuit is being prepared on behalf of hundreds of Ukrainians who applied to travel to the UK weeks ago, but whose cases have been stuck in a chaotic visa backlog, The Guardian has learned.
Yeah. I was listening to some people on the radio, price, the other day, and there are families still stuck over there who applied to come here under our new We Love You Now immigrant scheme, which isn't real. And they've applied for the visas in good faith, and they're still sat there waiting. Because it's all a scam. It's a scam. It's not a real thing.
In a lot of ways, my country kind of did the same thing, because there's a lot of Ukrainian refugees in Mexico right now on the border waiting to get in.
All right.
Well, the other thing that she's doing now, it goes back to the Rwanda thing.
Ugh.
Because we had a break during the invasion. You know how we're being invaded. There was a break for about 11 days. The reason being the weather. So when the weather's bad, the people don't tend to do the dinghy thing, you know, because you tend to die when you do it.
Yeah.
But during this break, they're all going, yeah, Rwanda, it's working. As soon as the weather improves, yesterday, they start again. So she's now saying, and she's, or her people are now saying, in the Daily Mail, of course, it's going wrong because of the lefty woke lawyers.
What?
Yes.
So I have a question. In your country, your country has some of the most sophisticated equipment on planet Earth, just as mine. I know this for a fact. I've seen the commercial. How is it that you can't scoop up people on dinghies? Do you have laws where you can't intercept them? Like, we're aggressive in America. They stop them. Like, if the Coast Guard catches them, they detain them on their boat.
Well, the thing is, these people who are in dinghies, there's not much you can do other than rescue them. It's not like you can board their dinghy. You know, they're literally sailing over in things this big that aren't seaworthy. So if you do something wrong, they're going to drown, and then you're in trouble.
Okay, that makes no. I saw. I think it was yesterday. I saw footage of a rubber dinghy, and it made me nervous because although rubber will hold up, like, you could get turned over real quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned this last week as well. If you're at sea and you see somebody in trouble, you've got to help them out. You can't ignore them. That's the law, international law. And you certainly can't accidentally make them capsize, which for some reason all the gammon over here think we're allowed to do because we're British. You know, we can just go and tip them over. So the only thing you can do is rescue these people. And the fans of Priti Patel absolutely hate that because they hate the fact that we rescue people who are going to drown if they're not white, shall we say.
But I think a lot of those people have watched way too many movies because it was never like that. So you can't, like you said, it's maritime law. my pops used to always say in the Navy, like, they would sink the ship and then turn around and pick up they would stay there for days picking up every single person,
Yeah, of
you
course,
know?
yeah.
So
Nigel,
Sorry.
Nigel Farage has been out on a boat,
Oh, yeah, of
pointing
course, yeah.
and shouting
Pointing at the sea.
do you know I unsubscribed? I subscribed to him because it was entertaining at first, because he was like, I'm at the naval shipyards and blah 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 blah. Like, but I unsubscribed the first time he was on a dinghy with a microphone, and these migrants are looking at him like, what are you doing? I felt uncomfortable for everybody.
But
Oh,
he's a wanker.
Yeah, as soon as the weather improved a couple of days ago, out he goes. I mean, he has to drive a fair distance, I believe,
Yeah,
from
he
his
does.
house to
so
go and do
he's
this.
still out there. He's still out there.
Oh no, he goes out every day, I think. If he thinks there's going to be something to point at, he gets in his car, drives down, and goes and points at stuff.
I had to stop watching him because he was bad for my blood pressure.
Mm.
I had to
Yeah.
stop watching him.
Oh,
And
dear.
I watch GB News. Do you know GBN has 3 issues?
No, 3 viewers.
LGBTQIA plus, trans people, and trans people.
Mhm.
All they talk about the same thing over and over and over. It's
Of course they do. I mean, you know what they're doing. They're being a Fox News, and they're appealing to that certain type of viewer. And the only
But
good thing we
even-
can take from this is if you look at their viewing figures, they're just down the toilet. Nobody watches it apart from the really hardcore gammon.
But every once in a while, even Fox News will have a 3-hour special on the coral reefs, or like Gettysburg, or something that's interesting.
But Piers Morgan's so-called news program is doing very poorly, apparently.
Yeah, it is.
I heard about that. I didn't even know that. I actually would have tuned in because I love watching these people, like Bill O'Reilly. I love watching them slide downhill.
I've seen
I
it,
didn't-
and if you want to watch it, Will, as you know, I'm a big fan of Hal Sparks, and he covered both parts of that interview, and as he does, he let the whole thing play. So not just a couple of seconds here, but they watched the whole damn thing. And I honestly recommend people do that rather than just watching a 30-second clip of Trump or whoever it might be. Watch the whole damn thing. Watch a full Trump rally that he's doing these days.
Oh,
And
you'll
you'll think, oh my God, he needs help.
it like I said, it's bad for my blood pressure. Like these guys, I'm in the house just
That's why I say I'm not promoting anybody, but if you watch how Hal Sparks does it, you're gonna laugh because
Hello?
you'll see how utterly insane these people are, such as Trump or Farage or whoever it might be. All you can do is
Sorry.
laugh because the things that these people spew, whether it's GB News or OAN or the even worse ones that you've got in your country, and I can't remember what they're even called. They're so obscure.
I don't watch
The
any of them
absolute
because
tribe that they spew
I
is
don't-
laughable.
the one thing I do not understand is do these people not realize that they're being told what to think? I don't like that when someone's like pushing their view on me. I can think for myself, thank you.
This is actually quite pertinent because, I was saying before, while we were waiting for Mike to get his shit together and get this technical extravaganza going, I was talking about LBC this morning, and Nick Ferrari was doing his thing and basically telling all his gammon fans to be outraged about certain things. And I
That's what I'm
listened to all the
saying.
callers phoning in, oh, I'm angry about this, oh, I'm outraged, oh, I'm angry. And it was hilarious an hour or two later when it turned out that he was just talking absolute shite. But these people, they'd hear him do like what O'Reilly would do or what Hannity does. They hear that person getting outraged and angry, and so they decide to be outraged and angry about it. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not. 10 minutes before, they were not outraged and angry. The day after, they're not outraged and angry. But for that moment, they've been told to be outraged and angry about this damn thing.
I had an angry older sister, so I do not allow anyone to push their authority on me or tell me what to think.
Just before you move on, Mike, I'm being a good boy.
Yeah.
Did you listen? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Ferrari thing.
No.
It's not on your list, is it? Right. I'll do it I'll do it later. I'll not interrupt you.
Oh, okay.
It is quite amusing. It really is. Made my day.
Oh, right.
I'll save it. Teaser.
So
Hey,
this Susanna Reid interview, did you see it?
You know, I saw the clips being posted after the event. I did not watch it because it would have made my penis fall off. But I read what it was about.
I saw the clips as well.
I can't. There were some things, you know, if I saw the clips but didn't watch, I saw them being referred to. I didn't watch them because I knew damn well it would just make me angry. And I don't need to see them because I know he's a dick and I know what kind of shit he's going to say. But that one, to be honest, was quite something.
The one thing that trips me out is that they cannot give a direct answer.
Yeah.
He certainly can't.
No.
He's never been able to. And the problem is he's not good at lying. His lies are so ludicrous. And this is the perfect example of it because, I mean, we're still talking about it now. I mean,
yeah.
What the fuck?
But Susanna Reid, she was very good. She because a lot of interviews, when they interview Boris Johnson, he does this really neat trick where he waffles on and on about nothing, and they just let him. But she wouldn't. She was very good. She shut him down and said, "No, I want you to answer this question. I want to talk about this now. We're not talking about that."
The other interesting thing about this one was the first time that he'd appeared on GMB in 5 years.
Since he hid in the fridge.
Since he hid in the fridge.
You know, it's so sad. I have no life because I know what you're talking about.
I know. And you know what's even more sad? It doesn't feel like 5 years ago, does it?
No. What is even more sad is that people still voted for him after he hid in the fridge. That should have been the end of it. You know, people should have said, "Oh, this guy, you know, he hides in the fridge. Could he really be trusted to run the country?" But
you know, I hate to bring up old demons, but I trust Count Binface more than Boris Johnson, and I'm still subscribed to Count Binface on Twitter.
Yeah.
I am still subscribed.
But can you imagine Barack Obama hiding in a fridge, when he gets asked when he was asked tough questions?
No, I live in America. We're aggressive. His own party would slowly fire him.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that where I'm from. You can't run. You're not allowed to.
Because he's a statesman.
Oh,
but Boris Johnson is not.
Do you know?
It interests me because whoever is advising Johnson obviously thought that being interviewed by her on GMB on live TV would be a good thing to do. So I've got to ask myself, whoever advised him of this, were they trolling him? I mean, because really? You don't tend to put Johnson. It was live, wasn't it, Mike? Was it live?
It was live, yeah.
Right. So you don't put Johnson in a live interview situation.
No.
That's who does that?
Maybe they
So
wanted to a summer vacation.
I'm thinking that the people behind the scenes who want him out maybe gave him some misleading advice. There's no way in hell he would knowingly, willingly sign up to doing a live TV interview if he thought it wasn't going to be an ass kissy. We love.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? From the crypt. And honestly, I have
Because
the
he knows-
same question that Purple has.
He knows damn well that he can't do live or serious interviews. He knows this.
Yes. See,
He knows
so
it.
this is again, you know, I'm missing my vocation as PR guy to, you know, to these people. Because if I was Johnson's PR guy, look, no, don't do this interview, because you know full well how shit you are at live interviews. Just don't
You see,
fucking do it.
I'm old enough to remember, you know, in the in the leadership election, Mike, who's going to be the leader of the Conservative Party? And obviously Johnson won because he was never going to lose. That's who they wanted to be their new king.
Yeah.
He was missing for a lot of it. He wasn't doing interviews. And
No.
I remember this very well. On the few occasions that I saw him, they'd dressed him up in a nice suit. They'd made him dress like a grown-up. He'd combed his hair. He'd had a haircut. But he wasn't doing interviews. Why? Well, we know why. Because every time he opens his mouth, you know, he just talks
That's
shit.
Diarrhea comes out.
That's another thing that drives
Yeah.
me mentally insane about Boris Johnson is who is his tailor. The man goes like this, and his sleeve is to like right here. As a grown man, you should be able to put your arms up and your sleeves still be even, you know?
Mm.
Whoever is his tailor should be fired and kicked out of the country, deported. No, he wears these big baggy, and I understand he's a bigger man, but he dresses horribly. Like he
No.
reminds me of a hobo.
What you've got to understand here is that whoever makes his suits, and these will be very expensive suits, is making them as is requested.
But look, okay.
That's not happening by accident.
Okay, I agree with you.
He's
Still, but look
asking
where
for his suits to be made like that.
Look where his hands are placed.
Yes.
His left cup is still drooping over his hand. His suit is huge.
Yeah. And,
You know,
It's all part of the act.
yeah.
wow.
But one thing that I want to talk about from this interview, Susanna Reid talked about this pensioner called Elsie, who's 77 years old.
I saw this.
And
Have we called it Elsie Gate yet? I don't know.
I don't know, but apparently this poor old lady, she has to travel around on the bus all day, every day,
This
so
made
that
me
she
so
doesn't have to heat her home. And she's cut down her meals to 1 meal a day.
Yep.
And do you know what Boris Johnson said in response to this?
I do. He
I-
Can I just for the benefit, because you know I love my context, just for the benefit of, because we know what we're talking about because we're nerds, but for the benefit of Mike's lovely viewers, because he's a social influencer.
All three of them.
Yes. So the interview mentions this lady called Elsie, who apparently it's a real person. It's not just a hypothetical. Elsie is a real person. So she's a pensioner, which means in this country, she's probably going to die very soon because that's just how it works in this country. You're going to die of hypothermia or starvation. So because of the fuel crisis, because our bills are going through the roof, she eats 1 meal a day. She gets on the bus with her free bus pass and stays on the bus all day long because it's warm. And so because she can't afford to heat her home, because
But
her
still-
electricity bill to heat her
but
home has
still-
shot up by like 5-fold.
She should be grateful that King Johnson. I won't steal your thunder, Sofa. But she should be grateful, according to King Johnson.
That's pretty much what it
Johnson-
boiled down to, it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted credit for this.
Yeah.
He actually wanted credit for it.
He said, "I'm the one who introduced the free bus pass." But so Susanna Reid said, "What? So she should be grateful that she's got a free bus pass." But that is a lie. Anyway, he's not the one who introduced the free bus pass when he was mayor of London. That came in the 70s.
It was introduced in 1973 when Johnson was 10 years old.
Yes.
So
exactly. So he even lied about that.
I mean, that does take it to a new level, doesn't it? If that's the first thing that came to his mind.
Yeah. He had to make it about him.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing is, I'm doing the thumb and finger here, Mike. So the first thing he says, well, I invented. That's not a bragging point.
No.
Despite, even if it were true, which it isn't, it's still not a fucking bragging point.
No.
Well, Elsie should be grateful.
Missing the point entirely.
Do you know this made me want to cry when I saw this story? I went from because I always put myself in that shoe. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. That could be me when I'm old. That could be me on a bus because I can't afford the heating of my house. Like, that could be any of us.
And the chances are, Will, even though you're an independently wealthy gentleman, you steal shit from your neighbours. Even though you're doing okay, if you lived in this country, once you reach like 60, you're probably going to die very soon because we don't look after our elderly people in this country. We really don't.
Oh, that makes me want to cry. That's just, it's sad and then I went from wanting to cry to rage when I heard she should be grateful. I was like, what?
The sad thing is, and I say that I'm not being sort of, I'm not exaggerating. That's a true fact. The pensioners in this country are treated like absolute shit. But most people are not aware of this fact until they become a pensioner. And then they suddenly realise, hey, hang on a minute, I'm 62 and I now find out that I have to keep on working a full-time job until I'm 68 and I still can't afford to heat my home or feed myself.
Yeah. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, you probably would, Perps. And I mean that, I say that with love because, I say it so many times, this country is a pile of absolute shit.
Even in America, we attempt to take care of our seniors. It's not the best, but we have laws that help. Where my job, I take care of mentally disabled adults, and most of them are seniors, and it's a very strictly ran care home.
And who are the biggest voters for the Conservatives in this country? Will old ladies.
That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me.
Do you know why? Oh, Boris, he's doing his best. He's lovely. Oh, look at him. He can't dress himself. I want to go coochie, coochie, coo. He's so lovely and cute.
It's because propaganda works.
Yeah. But it was a complete car crash of an interview from start to finish. He didn't have a coherent answer for any of the questions whatsoever. It was, and Purple was saying, honestly, that happens in the US a lot too. I'm in one of the better areas that has more programs available. Some from the state, some from the private organizations.
Well, you see, this is something as an outsider that always confuses me/us, because in your weird country, you've got differences in states that still baffles the rest of the world. We think it's mental. And I'm not going to go there, but you know why this is an important point to raise right now after what's been released from the people in the black robes. So that's totally fucked up. So,
It's crazy times that we're living in right now.
I guess you're not going to be covering America today.
Yes, we're going to talk about it briefly. I think yeah, I think we need to.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I
I'd rather
was-
talk about your country than my effed up. My country's on a dumpster fire right now.
It's always easier to laugh at other people's miseries, but we're in a really shit place now because it used to be okay and legal to laugh at America, but now we can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Michelle Moan's home raided by police over multi-million-pound PPE fraud probe.
Yeah, now, I'm not familiar with this character, but I kind of know, vaguely. I'm just going to put this out here. She doesn't look like the kind of person traditionally who you'd expect to be given a peerage. So I'm thinking shenanigans, maybe?
Just quickly, Purple saying, yes, there are huge differences, especially in the level of medical coverage between Minnesota and especially southern states like Alabama and Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's sad, but true.
I know that you guys absolutely love all the states are kind of independent and what have you. But it really is crazy and messed up. And I was, slight tangent, sorry. I was listening to a lady on the radio this morning and she was talking about Roe v. Wade. And I forget her name, she's very famous and she was involved in the thing. And she stated something very obvious, which is that once individual states get to choose if they want to make abortion illegal, then that it's not just about abortion anymore. They can make it opens a can of worms.
They can bring segregation back.
That's where I'm going, Will. And she made the point that they can then at some point down the line choose to make it illegal. They can choose to make interracial marriage illegal.
Yeah.
Now, let's just think about that briefly for like 5 seconds, right? So you're driving from state A to state C, but you've got to go through state B with your wife or your husband. You're fucked.
Actually, there's a whole generation of Americans that actually lived that. And the thing that I do not understand is that their inheritors are returning it right back to where it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So none of this makes sense to me whatsoever. And what's gonna happen? And I'll because I'm more interested in what's her house is getting rated. But what's gonna happen is they're gonna hide it under religion. It's gonna be it's gonna be
course.
It's gonna be it's the Trojan horse basically.
That's exactly what it is. You used the correct word there, Will, you little racist. And it's a can of worms, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that it's still like 80% of Americans are in favor of abortion being legal.
No, it's actually the numbers are 56 to 34. And then everyone else is, I don't know, in between or it's up to the states. So there's actually.
Are you sure about that? Because I'll do a poll.
It's something I heard this morning. It's in every I live in America, so every channel, every news station, every radio station that I listen to has different news, and they're all talking about the same thing.
But
I'm going to stick with my figure because I'm British and I'm always correct. So I maintain that 80% of all Americans are in favour of. I'm in favour is not the correct terminology, but you know what I mean, of abortion being legal, or of not,
yeah, yeah.
or of it not being made illegal.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
even if it's what Will says and it's like 60%, then what you've got here is 6 or 7 people in the black funky robes who are making a rule that the majority of Americans don't agree with.
I'll
But
say it on the
anyway,
tail end. I know we're trying to move on, but I'll say it in the tail end. But they're all that's gonna happen is they're gonna make they're just gonna make a national law for it. So all of this is gonna be for naught.
We're going to come back to that in a bit.
Yeah,
But,
that's a 3-hour conversation.
yeah. But anyway,
this is why I said that it was always a bad idea, Mike, to do your stream on a Thursday, the 5th of May in the UK. It's voting day, for fuck's sake. I'm going to be mad.
Oh, it's Cinco de Mayo. It's Cinco de Mayo here. So hello to all my Mexican people. All 3 of you.
But anyway, so Michelle Mone, she's a famous lingerie tycoon. Apparently, her 11 million pound London home has been raided by police because of this fraud, this PPE fraud. The article says this: the London home of Tory peer Michelle Mone has been raided as part of a police fraud probe into multi-million pound PPE deals relating to a company she has been linked to. The National Crime Agency is investigating deals by PPE MedPro, a company set up by a business associate of Baroness Mone. Her £11 million London home, owned by an offshore company linked to her husband's Isle of Man business, is one of a string of properties raided by NCA officers this week.
Does it say that the text is small, so I can't see this? I'm guessing it doesn't say, or maybe it does, that the company that she got the loan for during this PPE fraud that our government did, does it say that that company was only set up a couple of days before applying for the loan?
Oh, wow.
Let's have a look.
Does this article have the shot of her house? I saw the shot of her house and I was like, wow.
If memory serves, Mike, this is a case again where she or somebody set up a brand new company through Companies House, so they paid like £100. No trading history whatsoever. And then a couple of days later, hello, Rishi?
Yeah.
Hancock? Can I have a loan? And they get given like hundreds of millions of taxpayer money as a loan.
I saw there's like a shot of her house and I'm like, I want to go live there. It looks amazing.
That's not her house in London. That's this is the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
That's not the whole of the Isle of Man, by the way.
No,
that's just a portion of it.
Yes, there's where the other 4 addresses are.
Hey, Jenny.
Also raided.
Hey, fun fact, Mike. That so her house was raided.
Yeah.
Do you remember another famous celebrity person's house who was raided a few years ago? 5-10 years ago, I forget. And the BBC covered it extensively. So much so that they sent helicopters to watch the police raiding it live. Do you remember that?
No, I don't actually.
Whose house would it be? We will now do the countdown theme tune.
I'm saying hello to Jenny.
You don't remember?
No, I don't.
It's not important to this story, but I find it quite interesting because Cliff Richard. You remember when his house was raided? And the BBC somehow had knowledge of this raid beforehand, and they sent helicopters, BBC News helicopters, to watch the police raid it.
Yeah.
Nothing about this fucker.
No, the BBC haven't said a word about this, and they're refusing to explain why.
Yeah.
But of course, we know why.
Mm-hmm. You know,
they're corrupt.
This pains me. Will, you know, earlier you were saying how you were quite upset and pained about the old people and who die in this country.
Yeah,
And
that's
they-
awful.
It is awful, but it's the way of life here, and it always has been. But people don't know it. But what pains me also, and you've got to bear in mind that yesterday I accidentally on the YouTubes, purely by chance, ended up watching a Doctor Who thing because there's the tangent. I found the official BBC thing where they play the whole lot of episodes from what is it, Genesis of the Daleks, I think it is, and I thought to myself, that's when the BBC was the BBC. What we've got now is not the fucking BBC.
Mm.
And I've not even started on today's news about Channel 4. I won't do, Mike, don't worry, but fuck me.
I actually saw something about that too.
Wow.
Yeah. Trying to control shows.
I've gone how long now? 56 minutes. I've not used the N word, but I'll tell you something. No, I'm not even going to say it, but Will knows which N word I'm going to say, and it's not the naughty one. Will, don't worry. Well, actually, it is one naughty one, but it's not the naughty one that we're not allowed to say. I'll just keep digging. Ebony and ivory.
We are neighbors. You and I are neighbors.
But anyway, I can't find the story.
Hey, Jenny.
But Boris Johnson and other prominent Tories have been lying today on Twitter, saying
No shit.
saying that Tory councils charge less for council tax than non-Tory councils.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been fact checked, and that's not strictly true. I think it is a bit true, but it depends. The devil's in the details.
Bunny ears, because this is a lie that Johnson started whilst he's standing at PMQs at the dispatch box, and he started this lie about Tory councils charging less council tax. Sorry, Will, this is about council tax, my dear. You won't understand it.
I actually do. Keep going,
he started this lie, and you're wearing your funny hat. And he started this lie, and again, it's been pointed out to him that it's a lie. He keeps repeating the lie in the House of Commons, for fuck's sake, a thing that you're not allowed to do, you've got to resign for, but he keeps fucking repeating it.
Yeah.
You actually killed my question because I was going to ask, like, didn't people get fired for that back in the day?
I honestly thought you were going to say you killed my grandma then. And I thought, fuck, what have I done now? I'm going to get cancelled yet again.
No, because when I hear these things, it always raises a million questions. It does. It's like how, but it always goes back to the same old question. Will there be consequences for this?
He's been fact checked, as Mike correctly points out, by the government's own Office of National Statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, this is not true. Please stop saying it.
Yeah. And he's supposed to go back and correct the record.
Yeah, and that's a really important
does.
thing. That's a really, sorry, Mike, that's a really important thing because, as you all are aware, every single word that is uttered in the House of Commons is recorded. Every single word for the past 500 years has been recorded. You can't allow lies and untruths to remain on that record because the future people won't have the context.
True.
Yeah.
It's like court records. You know, when a judge in a court of law will say, I don't know what a T-shirt is. What is a T-shirt? Doesn't mean that the judge doesn't actually know what a T-shirt is.
Yeah.
It means for the record, in 500 years' time, lawyers need to know the vernacular of the day. There you go.
Yeah.
That was
I still have-
profound.
I still have my court conscripts. When I'm having a bad day, I read them because my ex-wife called me a monster, and everyone laughed, and they wrote laughter. It was awesome. It was awesome.
I'll just interrupt briefly and say congratulations to Jenny for eating your grandma.
Now I have grandma got ran over by a reindeer stuck in my head, and it's not even Christmas yet.
You see, unlike these two amateurs, I pay attention to the people inside shot. Just saying.
But anyways, yeah, we're just going to talk about this Roe versus Wade thing, and then we'll call it a night.
Ooh.
And
before you do, okay, shall I do?
Note.
Shall I do my? Listen, this is us doing a thing live now here. Side chat, just talk amongst yourselves. So, do you think we should do Roe v. Wade, and then I can come back and do my funny thing about Ferrari and?
Okay, do your funny thing about Ferrari first. Actually,
I think you should do your Roe versus Wade because I think you should end it on a high note.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's not depressing.
We've talked about this so many times. You've always got to end it on the good story.
Okay. Yes.
You're an influencer, Mike. Come on.
Roe v. Wade, America's on fire.
So, Will, you're an American.
Roe versus Wade, U.S. women divided on leaked abortion ruling. Okay,
right.
so okay,
that was so Partridge. I love that. That was the best start of an interview ever.
Like you threw a flag at me. Like, you're American. Do something with this.
That's what I was going for.
Okay, so just my mom used to always say something. If you want to speak on women's rights, then grow a uterus. Where I live, just in Los Angeles, because I live in Lefty-topia, where we all hate each other. There's been 6 riots. People literally, when they found this out, they went out in the streets and waited for the cops to show up so they could fight the cops. It's bad. It's bad, and that's like less than 30 miles from my house.
Can I ask you a question? I need to probe your American expertise, Will.
Okay.
So you're old enough to remember when the orange shit Gibbon was elected and there were mass protests. You remember the women's protests?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because obviously they, and not just the women, obviously, but they knew what was coming down the line. You didn't have to be a political expert to know, regardless of what the Trump was or is, what the plan was. Because your Republican people, they could have a fucking a dog turd as president. They don't care as long as they get to do their what do you call it? Their scheme, which is to stack the court with people.
But it's beyond that though,
that thing.
They're religious zealots, and their religion is praying to their shit gibbon, and so because of that, they'll all die on that hill.
Yeah,
but this particular argument predates the orange shit gibbon by a very, very long time.
Give me one.
I mean, this is the vote winner for the liars in your Republican Party, because if they can get their win with this one, they automatically get, I think it's 25% of your electorate are evangelical. So
but we'll see what happens with women in America, because that's what's going to swing the next election. Hold on one second.
I think
I gotta
you're correct.
pull a pizza out.
I think you're correct, but he's gone. So I'll just talk to the randoms inside chat. Andrew, Mike, you're lovely. But I referenced that thing, and we're going back a few years. Maybe most people can't, or a lot of people can't remember. Jenny makes a good point there. It's interesting that it was leaked, Jenny. It's very interesting that it was leaked. So if you go back to when the Orange Things was elected and you had those huge protests, the women marches, which weren't just in America, you've got to remember. They were around the fucking world. A lot of people saw what was on the line. They knew what that meant. Nobody could have predicted what Trump was going to be or do, all the rest of this shit. But it was what he would. People knew why he'd been crowned. He was there to serve a role in the same way that Johnson is there to serve a role.
Yesterday,
he was a puppet.
I saw an interview with
something.
Sorry.
No, sorry, I'm rambling. You're American. You can do this.
Oh, my country sucked. I saw an interview with Susan Warren. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. She's literally shaking, and she's like, "They've been trying to do this for decades and decades." Like she knows what's gonna happen. She knows, And people are going to the tail end. Like, they're not gonna bring back slavery. They're not gonna bring back segregation. What's gonna happen is they're gonna bring in their religious oligarchy. They want dictators, and they want everyone to believe in their their fake.
I'm going to have a gentleman's disagreement with you on this one, Will, because I'm not American. So even though you guys think it's all about religion, yes, in a way it is, because the people in power are pandering to that base of religious idiots. Sorry. The people in power, they don't believe in this bullshit. They're not religious. They don't believe this crap.
Yeah.
They just want the votes. And so they will pander to that large voter base. And there is a large voter base in your country of very right-wing evangelical fuckwits. And they get outrage boners if they're told, yay, abortion is gone, kind of stuff.
We call them amosexuals.
Oh, Jenny, I know that you knew. I'm not discounting you as an idiot. I would never do that. You knew. I also knew.
They want to bring back just hooray for me and F you. So they're trying to install their dictatorship. So the problem is that they're anti people living their lives. So instead of
think we've got a delay? Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
This is what happens when we do these satellite links. Mike, can you fix this, please?
Back to you.
This is like being in the 80s.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So, Will, in your expert opinion, I'm slightly more cynical and scared than maybe you are, because you're a jolly chap, and maybe you're using the happy goggles. But I tend to think that, as I said earlier, this is a can of worms, and it does kind of lead the way once the individual states have gained the power to do something so, in my opinion, evil and wicked, that they can then chip away at other rights. Remove the rights of other people. Not just women who. Well, this is about women's rights now, but I do honestly believe, because we're talking about the southern states, aren't we? Mostly, and a little bit up the left, I think. And let's be honest, those people are not very keen on people who are not like them having rights. So the women's, the gays, anybody who is a minority, they don't like those people having rights.
Okay, so I on that I agree with you, because people keep on going back to race, and I want to remind everybody it's not the 1800s, and like in a place where I live, I know it's weird to people where you live, but like where I live, people that look like me are the ones that have money. So it's not the 1800s. So they're gonna go after like Stool said, the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah.
I guarantee I guarantee you they're gonna try next is gay marriage. Because what's gonna
absolutely.
happen
Yeah.
what's gonna happen is they're gonna say, "Oh, well, states' rights, states' rights." And then, Alabama's gonna be like, it's gonna be illegal to breathe if you're
This
not
is what, that's where I'm going because, and Jenny sums it up. I always tend to agree with Jenny because she's got her head screwed on correctly. But once you give them this little win, then they can start. Then they can start chipping away at removing other people's rights.
Mhm.
So they start with this big. I mean, this is huge, isn't it? So once they think they've won on this issue, so we strip away 50% of America's population's rights, and as an individual state, we are now able to do that because legal precedent. Okay, now we can remove the rights from those other people that we don't like, such as the gays, the people who aren't white enough, and all that kind of shit. And that's why I mentioned the thing earlier about interracial marriage. And I wish I could find the clip that I listened to earlier from that really clever judge lady.
I think I saw the same interview. And Jenny, if I didn't know you, I would think you're off your pills.
I think we should all get tickets and get Jenny to drive us to Dallas because I, for one, want to see JFK Jr. back.
Yeah.
He's coming.
That would be an amazing road trip because they have great food in Texas. They may be a bunch of crazy people.
I've heard
but they
this.
Have great food.
I've heard this. I think I would be too scared to go to Texas, but when I do, I had no idea what that noise was. But when
I have a ring,
we've heard about your ring. Let's just leave it.
It vibrates.
So when I pop over to Will's house, which is on the cards because we're going to do stuff in his garden, and he's going to cook stuff for me. You could take me. Nah, actually, I don't want to go to Texas. I'm too much of a coward to go to Texas.
Texas is a place where you could get pulled over and detained for no reason.
But Texas as a whole, correct me if I'm wrong, the middly bits of Texas are actually quite normal, are they not?
Well, out in the middle of nowhere is kind of scary.
Yeah, but the middly bits, they've kind of progressed and are almost human, aren't they? Because they have like universities Austin is supposed to be okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know quite a few lesbian couples that moved there actually. So Austin's really gay.
But I learned all about Texas from Dallas.
I love that damn show. I love that. See, that was the problem.
You're losing your audience here because a lot of your audience are young, Mike. They weren't with us during those troubled times.
That's like when I went to your country, I was shocked at how many people of color were in your country because I'd watched, Inspector Wexford.
Will, what we need to
do? I love Reg. I love Reg.
Yeah, so do I.
What we need to do, Will, you and I, Will, this will prove to you how much I love you. Okay, you and I, we will step into the shower together.
Stool, be careful. I have a double-headed shower, so that's actually possible.
And when we come out of the shower, the past 7 seasons will not have happened.
I've seen that movie. They finally started wearing clothes in real. No, Texas is like. I tell this joke all the time, but it's not a joke. It's true. I was in Louisiana. And I was sitting at a table with my ex-girlfriend, and someone walked up to us and asked what part of England we were from. Because she had never seen a person of my color speaking the way I had, I guess. And she in her brain, she was like, oh, he's English. Like America is crazy. Like my father used to say, for every state that you leave your home state, you lose 10 years. So by the time you get to Mississippi or Alabama, it's the 1920s.
I'll,
True.
I'll,
It's true.
I'll tell you an interesting science fact. Okay. As some of you know, I've moved to a different location. And I've mentioned this before. You know, you can get a culture shock when you move, even a short distance. Even in the UK, you move from area A to area B, and it can be so damn different. Now, firstly, I can't understand the people here. I can't understand their accents.
Are they that thick?
I don't know how to put this politely, but you two people above me can work it out because you understand the UK, but I live in the county that is now the biggest lorry car park in the world.
and yet you can understand my accent.
Actually, I can't. I've got subtitles on mic.
I'm from Kent originally.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I had culture shock when I moved away from California.
But thanks for doxing me.
And I no longer saw Hispanic people. It was weird to me because I came from an area where Hispanic people are dominate. And so don't type that into a search engine, by the way. And so because of that, it was culture shock for me to go somewhere and not see Hispanic people everywhere. So I get it, and that's in America or even in my own state. You know.
Hang on, I'm just looking at tractors.
That's going to be my joke for a while. Oh,
that was a good joke. I approve of that joke.
But don't worry, Stool. Kent is a big county, so I don't think
it is very big. But you know what? You say it's big.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done the science on this. Bearing in mind, this is the place where the invaders come.
Yeah. But in them,
and yet, science fact. I'm surrounded by a lot of white people.
Yeah. Of course, Kent is Tory land.
Yeah.
It very much so.
Let's just say I'm being very guarded as to the conversations I have in this household at the moment.
But then most of the home counties is Tory country.
What word did you just use?
The home county. The
home
country. Counties.
Okay, country, whatever. Do you remember the guy from LBC, Mike?
Sorry, would that be
the lorry driver? Oh, damn, we've got to fix this satellite.
I know.
Do you remember the lorry driver, Mike, called Kieran?
No.
He became kind of internet famous about 5 years ago. He's a lorry. He drives a transit. I don't know. He's a courier, and he became internet famous because he phoned into James O'Brien and said, "Look, I know what I'm doing. This is going to be really shit. Brexit is going to kill my business. Blah blah blah." He was correct, obviously.
Yeah.
If you follow him, he's still doing his job, and he posts videos of what is happening on that lorry park.
Yeah.
And I saw the one that he did today, and it was just 3 minutes, no commentary, just video, him driving down the empty side of the motorway. And on the opposite side, it's just 20 miles of lorries going nowhere.
But,
I mean, you could not make this shit up. But who's covering that? You ain't going to be seeing it on BBC News.
No, you're not. No.
You're not going to be. They're not going to have their helicopters out looking at this. Can you imagine? Let's go back in time. Let's say this was 20 years ago, and it's a bank holiday Monday. Let's say, and oh look, it's really busy because of the weather. Look at this, a 20-mile tailback. That would be news.
Yeah.
That happens every fucking day now, constantly.
Yeah. But
It's insanity.
yeah, and but by the way, Will, do you know what I mean by when I say the home counties?
Would that be local conservatives?
No, the home counties are the counties that surround London.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Mm.
okay. Where when you said that, I thought of my home county, which is Los Angeles County, and I was like, I wonder how they figure that out, because when you were in America, if you were to say what's your home county, a person would just say where they're from.
It's
Ah,
like a colloquial term, as Mike says, for the counties that surround London, and they do tend to be very traditionally conservative voters.
mm.
Oh, whoa! What time are we on? 11:24. I've heard a rumor that that Westminster, as in the borough of Westminster, could be turning Labour for the first time ever.
Yes, I heard that same rumor. Yeah.
That would be fun. A fun thing to masturbate to.
But I think it's time for you to tell us about Nick Ferrari.
You did that so smoothly, Mike. You're a professional. You really are. You're getting so good at this, except for that thing
Oh,
about 1 hour and 21 minutes ago where you totally fucked this up, but I won't tell anybody.
just, Jenny's asking, why is there a tailback?
I need to ask Jenny a question because I'm a fucking grammar Nazi. So is it why, comma, is there a tailback, or why is there a tailback? Is it a question? Can you get to the bottom of this, please, Mike? You're in charge.
Americans write how they speak.
Yeah,
I need to know the answers, otherwise
I think.
I just could give the wrong answer.
But I think she is asking, why is there a tailback? That would be my
Okay,
guess.
I never trust Jenny because Jenny is a cheeky little muppet who has a habit of being a naughty person. Nice pipe.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take it as given. It's an honest question. So, because of the B word Brexit, there are huge tailbacks of people driving of people driving the lorries who are trying to get out of the UK to get back into Europe, and they can't do it very easily. It used to be, I don't want to make sexual references, but it used to be a quick in and out, very quick, very, very smooth.
Yeah.
I'd almost say moist, but now thanks to Brexit, we've got 25-mile tailbacks of lorries sat going nowhere because customs checks, etc.
Which we now have to do.
That's
because
crazy.
we're no longer part of the EU.
That's
Taking back control.
Except, but you've missed the beautiful part out, Mike. And this is the truly beautiful part of Brexit. So, our people who are taking goods out of the UK into other EU countries, very difficult, massive tailbacks, financially unviable, so businesses are going bust, dying in this country. We can't export anymore. It's really shit. But here's the fun part that you'll love, Jenny. Because that's a bad Jenny. So here's the beautiful thing. Because it's really shit, what our wonderful government have decided is that you want to bring your stuff into the UK, customs. You can smuggle anything into the UK now.
You can,
There
or
are
you?
no custom checks.
I don't know. I'll be there in a week. I won't be there in a week.
That includes brown people.
I'm gonna come there and.
Just gonna put this out here. I'm not advocating for this, and obviously it's after 10 p.m, so I'm allowed to make a political statement. But you know what? if you want to smuggle brown people into the country to invade us, get on a ferry because we ain't checking. We're literally not checking.
Taking back control.
That's hilarious. So you're telling me it's a good time to be a drug dealer in the UK right now?
I'm not necessarily saying that, Will, because that would be inappropriate, and I would never
Allegedly.
advocate for such things.
I'll be there in 3
But
days.
yes, now is the correct time to do it.
But anywho,
Should I do my thing now? Because I did
Yes.
promise to do it.
please.
Okay. You've been really good on this one tonight, Mike, because I'm noticing on the little red timer there, you're doing good. Apart from that little floof at the beginning, you went slightly wrong there. I can't let that one lie. I'm really sorry because,
This song is amazing, though.
I don't want to spoil the television magic, Mike, but get that sorted.
I'll try.
So, okay, for those who weren't here earlier, we've not been allowed to talk about elections or anything today. That's illegal. And so the wonderful Nick Ferrari on LBC, who's a massive tabloid piece of shit, couldn't do his usual thing. He couldn't make shit up about politics. So he had to make other shit up. And so it was 3 hours of making shit up. And one of the items that he was making shit up about was, now, if this rings a bell, Mike, give me a nod because it was hilarious. So he was telling people that the song, they call it an anthem, the song Three Lions on Their Chest.
Oh, yeah. I did hear about this. Yeah.
Yeah, which is what people sing at England football matches.
Yeah.
Been doing it for about 30 years. It's a bit of an anthem, as they call it. Right. So the Sun, the newspaper, printed an absolute bullshit story saying that that song is being banned.
Yeah.
I roll absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
And so Ferrari's doing his bangy fist thump. Outrage. And it was chef's kiss because all these gammons were
Rage
phoning in.
boner.
Yeah, all these gammons were phoning in and going, this is ridiculous. This country is crazy. This is too much. This has gone too far. This is great. Call after call after call. Outrage. I knew that this was bullshit because I'm not an idiot. But he went with this. After Ferrari, you get, I want to say Elton John, but that's not his name. What's his name, Will? James O'Brien. So James O'Brien is on. And he's not Elton John, by the way. And James O'Brien is on. And he does this really funny thing, which is tongue-in-cheek. He calls it woke watch.
Oh,
And so people will tell him what the latest woke watch is, the latest bullshit nonsense. Imagine the latest kind of Fox News, the wokies kind of thing. And whilst he's doing woke watch, the FA, the Football Association, the people in charge of the footballs, issued a statement, and I'm paraphrasing here. They said, "This is fucking bullshit."
would you say #RageBoner?
I would say that 3 times just for you, Will, because I love you. And
I gotta write all this down.
the delicious irony for me of this is that you've got Ferrari, who's a massive fucking tabloid piece of shit, baiting his listeners with this false outrage. Imagine Fox News, Will. He's baiting his viewers, his listeners. And these are human beings like you and I, Will, who decide to get off their arses, pick up a phone, and go, "I'm outraged about this. I'm very outraged."
The one thing I'll never understand is hearing grown adults with education saying the woke lefties, or here comes another woke lefty. I can't watch that. It's such cringe to me. I've actually unsubscribed to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't think they understand what that means anymore. And to my generation, because I'm a late Gen Xer, early millennial, whatever you want to call it, being woke just meant you were not an a-hole. That just meant you weren't mean to people, that you were aware of your surroundings and you were aware of the things around you. You respected other
But
people.
this is the game that these evil, lying conservatives are playing. They're so lacking in anything of substance whatsoever. The only game they have is, wokeism, and all that shit. So it's absolutely hilarious to me when they get called out on their bullshit. And that was truly a moment of joy.
Yes.
And you've got to understand, I'm overthinking this, but Ferrari, he's on 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. So it's 3 hours of him selling outrage porn. He's basically a Tucker Carlson light. He's a Hannity kind of thing.
But
Yeah.
because
then
he's
From there, you go into James O'Brien, who an hour into his show says, "Oh, press release from the Football Association. It was bullshit."
I
Utter
love
joy.
James O'Brien. I absolutely love James O'Brien. And during Brexit, he taught me all you have to do to just destroy a Brexiteer was start asking them questions. That's all you have to do.
All you have to do, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to respect the delay. No, but James O'Brien, I still listen to him. I can't take Ferrari anymore. I'm glad that LBC got rid of Majid. He again was bad for my blood pressure.
Yeah, well, he was a dangerous piece of shit. He really was.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was not just a bullshitter. He crossed the line into. I've forgotten the guy's name now. What's he called? Fat bloke. Infowars. I forget his name.
Oh, you're talking about
Alex
crazy.
Jones.
Yeah,
Alex
yeah.
Jones. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a fun thing. I've just not. Imagine that, not being able to remember the name of Alex Jones. Wow, that's cool.
Anyone who thinks gay frogs are real should not be remembered.
I think it's really quite interesting because I'm a nerd and I love listening to the radio, even though it winds me up and turns me purple with rage. Because James, and you probably noticed this, to be honest, but James O'Brien obviously contractually, he ain't going to be allowed to say, you know what, Ferrari's a lying twat. He can't say that. So he has to be pleasant. And so it's really nice when you see something like that without him naming names. He says, by the way, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
There's an interview where he was interviewing Jacob Rees-Mogg about Brexit, and Jacob Rees-Mogg would not answer any of his questions because he was just annihilating him on, well, what about this lie? Well, you said this. What about this? And it was fun to watch him squirm.
Yeah.
That is a classic interview.
I love that interview.
My hope, Will, is that the future people get to see these things, because my life is fucked because of this B word. I can't do anything about it. I hope that the future people are able to look back and see just how ridiculous these fuckers are with their lies and their nonsense.
Yeah.
If it wasn't so damaging, it would be hilarious, but
And
it's weird.
on that bombshell,
I think I did really good there, Mike. I kept it. I tried to keep it concise.
yeah. And Jenny's saying, "What? What am I going to do with all these frog skirts I have for sale?"
Well, okay, so frogs can be gay. They just do not make you gay, to clarify.
Unless you consent, then that's okay.
Mm. And on that bombshell, we're going to wrap things up and say good night, and thank you to Godless Sewing and Stool for joining me, and thanks to everyone in the side chat as well, and to everyone watching at home. And if you've made it this far, please consider becoming a patron and supporting the stream. And your name will be scrolling along the bottom there with Greg Hartwick. And
I love how you did that.
uh,
I was waiting for the rest of the names, but no, just Greg.
just Greg.
Greg's
And
a legend. I love Greg.
Greg
he
is
is a
awesome.
legend.
I love Greg. I absolutely love Greg.
And there are there are other perks as well to becoming a patron. For example, if you pay $5 a month, you can have a one-to-one Zoom call
You
with
call
me.
them perks, I call them punishments.
When you say 1-to-1, is this like something we do private in StreamYards? Sorry.
You can chat with me for about an hour or so on on Zoom or whatever, and you can suggest things for us to talk about and
If I had money, I would do that just to fuck with your head.
Anyway, until next time, good night.
Rock out with your clock out.